This is a video made from 8mm film of the Voyage of Sea Swan from Patchogue, Long Island to Thomas via Bermuda in October-November 1970. There's Arnie putting some finishing touches at Weeks' Yacht. Arnie built the boat over an 8-year period. He was assisted by BettyLou, his wife, who sailed with us on the trip, and myself, Eric, and my wife Edith, with a crew, along with Kathy Gould and Pete, who sailed as far as Bermuda. There you see Sea Swan. She was about 53 foot long, weighed about 36 tons. Very solidly built boat. Arnie was a great craftsman with many great carvings and very exquisite detail. This is our final destination on Long Island before we took off. It shows the dock on Conklin Avenue at Bill and Kathy Place on Conklin Avenue. Bill and Kathy Gordon were friends of his for many years and helped him get ready for the trip. There's Arnie, and in the background you can see Swan Creek, Patchogue. There's BettyLou, and I think this was our first and only shakedown cruise. That's Fred there on the right. I forget who's pulling up the halyard along with Fred, but the boat you can see was rigged in a very old-fashioned way with hoops for the sails on the mast and a bit of pulley-hauley, got the sail up, and then you sweated it up and attached it to belaying pins. This is our sail on Patchogue Bay to just check things out. This is one of the final jobs we did, where a lot of friends came by and helped pour some scrap lead that Arnie had accumulated into pigs to bolt into onto the frames of the boat for extra ballast. There's my son Colin, who was 5 in 1970. Thank you, BettyLou. I'm not sure if this is the last day, but it's close to it. All kinds of last minute jobs being done. Arnie was leaving for the Virgins and didn't plan to come back, so all his tools, extra equipment he'd saved, had to go on the boat. This is Pete going up the mast. Arnie's pretended to comb his non-existent hair. This is a shot, presumably taken by Pete from the masthead. And as the camera pans up, you'll see Great South Bay, the view from Swan Creek. In the distance, far distance, is Fire Island. Uh-oh, that's the trouble with old projectors. It was getting quite cold as we got ready to leave. There, Bill Gordon's house on Conklin Avenue. Here's a stowaway. I think we'd had a slight fall of snow just before we left, so we're getting out just in time. Cats are insatiably curious, often to their detriment. And there goes BettyLou, firmly ejecting Kitty, who couldn't take no for an answer. There he goes. Oops. I think he landed on a fender, saved him falling in the drink. Here got a few bits of wood for the trip, extra supplies. In the background there on the left was a brief shot of Kathy. There's Kathy again, vacuuming up all the bits and pieces from the cockpit. And this, I think, is our actual departure. So for Arnie, it was the last time he saw Long Island. Later on he took the boat through the Panama Canal into the Pacific, and I think got as far as Australia, and ultimately returned to the Caribbean, where he died a few years ago, I guess about 2002, 2003. Arnie and BettyLou got divorced a year or two after they arrived in the Caribbean. BettyLou now lives in California. There's Fire Island Light with the Robert Moses Bridge on the right. That's Fire Island there on the right. And there's the lighthouse at Fire Island Inlet, or a mile or two to the east of it. Here's Arnie settling down on the way to Bermuda. Here's BettyLou in oilskins. Pete and Kathy's got her head in the way of the camera. That's Kathy. Sea Swan had a tendency to pitch. I guess it's related to the distribution of the weight in the boat, but she could put that bowsprit in fairly mild weather actually when the boat began to really pitch. This is a ship that we passed. It was about the only ship I think we passed on the way to Bermuda. For a few days we did have radio contact with Long Island on Arnie's shortwave radio, but then that faded and we're on our own. You can see the boat bouncing pretty well. And this is me, Eric, a much younger Eric than I am now. I was the navigator on this trip, so here I'm taking the sight with the old Hesineth vernier sextant. We had predominantly foul winds for the trip, winds with easterly components in them, and of course schooners don't go too well to wind with them. This boat had a few problems. The standing rigging had to be fiddled, and so we didn't make such good progress. And you'll see in a minute my comment on that position I got. Here we are looking up sight reduction tables, calculating a position line. Plotting it. Here's my message. My God, we're 50 miles off course, which we were. We got pushed well to the west of the run line. Had to beat up. This is a squally day. You can see the rain dropping out of that cloud. You can see a line there going to the jib stay. The standing rigging, as I say, gave us trouble. The dead eyes that Arnie had rigged were not so easy to tighten. And we had a line there going to that stay to try and pull it tight. This is hove to in some heavy weather with several bouts of winds that probably touch 40. You can see that staysail's not set too well. It was hard to sweat it up the last few feet. And there she is bouncing around. Got the main reef, you can see the ties there. View from the stern. Yeah, that boat could pitch. Here's Arnie and Pete sweating up the staysail, I think they're doing. this is the cut leading to St George's in Bermuda. It's taken us 11 days to get here, a very slow trip. It's normally a 5-day trip from New York to Bermuda. Arnie's filling out the customs declaration there in St George. Pete flew back from here. He'd really sneaked away and couldn't afford any more time. That's the Union Jack there in this little British colony. And here we are again on our way to St Thomas. Arnie's caught a fish. Oh, fell off. It's probably a good job this is a silent movie, considering what Arnie's saying now. BettyLou thinks it's funny. We had much better winds for the trip to St Thomas, and here you see us reaching with a easterly wind on our port beam. And we made the trip to St Thomas in 9 days. It was much faster than average than the trip to Bermuda. This is a view of the cutwater from the bowsprit. I think that stem was made from 12 by 12 oak. She was a very solidly built boat and probably last forever if it's properly maintained. No idea where she is now. I think Arnie was in Cartagena, Colombia when he passed away. And I think this is the day we arrived in sight of the Virgin Islands. I've been very nervous about the navigations. We've not had any celestial sights for a couple of days, and there are a few nasty reefs waiting for you 20-30 miles east of the run line, the Anegada Reef. There's Tortola, so it's just where it should be on our port. And we arrived in St Thomas about lunchtime after a 9-day passage, as I said. This is early morning. Arnie's looking tanned and fit after that trip, and probably very glad to be in the Virgin Islands. He had a lot of fixing up to do when he got there, but he stayed there a few years and then moved on. I think this is in Pillsbury Sound, between St John and St Thomas. I think this is Christmas Cove, which you pass a little to the east end of St Thomas, south of Red Hook. And there's Charlotte Amalie. It's wall-to-wall concrete now. Interesting shot to see it. 36 years ago. Oh well, that was the end. That's the Voyage of Sea Swan.